And I'm going to start in seated posture. Just take a little time to work on our breath. So a comfortable position, whatever it is. You can cross your legs, you can sit on the heels, wherever you want to be. Think about getting that pelvis into a nice neutral position so it's not tilting back or forwards too much. Just letting the shoulders relax a little bit, lengthening the back of the neck out. As we close the eyes, we can let ourselves focus a little bit more on that breath coming from low down in the belly. An image in our mind of the breath lifting up through into the chest. And seeing if your legs are crossed, then trying to get these hip flexors to relax and the knees sinking down. So we do need to connect the mind and the body up quite quickly to get that sense of letting muscles relax as you sit tall. Now let the eyes open. If you have indeed crossed the legs, allow yourself to just stretch them out, cross them over the opposite way. It's more to familiarize ourselves with taking a different option, feeling a little bit different. And then once you've settled, we'll take that into a spinal twist to the left. So just letting the hands on the thighs and the floor, looking over the rear shoulder. Again, letting the legs drop, sitting tall. And then changing to the opposite side. And coming back to the center, we'll take it into some side bends. So just walking the hand out to the left, palm on the floor. Next up, take a little bend into the elbow. Think about keeping the right hip and the sit bone down on the floor. And then gently take the right arm up towards the sky. Turn the palm out towards the left side. So lengthen the arm out. And we'll just press into that bottom hand to lift up. Take it over to the right side. When you're ready, a little bend and softening into the elbow. Thinking about that left hip and sitting bone again, sitting down. Left hand lifts, palm turns to the right, and then we lengthen that out. Just find a comfortable place for the head to sit. And thinking about how that feels and stretches into the neck. And then press into the floor. We'll lift up again. Now we're just going to bring the hands together into the center. We're going to have the little finger and the thumb together and then opening the rest of the hand out. Heel of the hand stays touched together in front of the chest. On the inhale, we're going to start to take that up towards the sky. Now, as you do, let the pelvis tilt forwards a little bit, so you get a little bit of a back bend. And then look towards the hands, straighten the arms out. And on the exhale, you're going to bring the hands back in towards your heart. You're going to tilt the pelvis backwards a little bit, so the spine just gets a little bit of a rounding. Not dropping down deep. Think more of sort of a cat-cow position through the pelvis and the spine. Easing back in. So just that tilt of the pelvis gives you a connection through the body and into the arms, which obviously the eyes are focused on. So kind of easy from a sensory point of view to understand what's happening there. Takes a little bit more concentration on the pelvic area. And then we'll come down for the final time. We're going to move from here and just allow ourselves to gently move on to the floor. Got my plan in the wrong place and I can't pick it up. It's like glued to the floor somehow. We can take the hands behind, take a little breath, ease yourself down onto the ground. You can use the block under the back of the head if you wish at this point. And we're going to bring the feet together close in towards the bottom. Just drawing your right knee in towards the chest. I'm going to let that knee move out towards the right armpit. And the next exhale, we'll lengthen the left leg out down the mat. Take another breath and flex both feet. I try to turn the left thigh internally to the center line, just a fraction, just a degree or two. And we'll slowly release. Bring the feet back in towards the bottom, so nice and tight. And draw that left knee in, hands around the shin or the back of the thigh. Draw it towards the armpit. Going to take a couple of breaths here. Just giving the hip a little bit of a chance to free itself up. I'm going to slide the right leg out down the center line. Begin to flex both feet. Again, that little internal rotation. Conscious of the leg that's extending out, being down the center line, not traveling out to the sides of the mat. Sometimes you just have to do a little quick visual check of the head. With the feet flex, you can spread the toes a little bit as well. And we'll release. Bring both feet back in towards the bottom. Shake the legs out if you need to. And we'll take that into a spiral twist. So we'll take the arms out wide. And then we're just going to move the hips over towards the left a little bit as we drop the knees down towards the right. Those first creaks and flicks through the spine. And we'll take it back up to the center. And just recenter the hips. And then over towards the right. So the legs can fold down towards the left. So relaxing the shoulders down onto the floor, palms face up. We'll bring ourselves back up. Recenter the spine again. And bringing the feet in close to the bottom, we're going to take the right knee in towards the chest. This time, everyone takes the hands around the back of the thigh. Down low towards the groin, we're interlacing the fingers and slowly pressing that right heel up towards the ceiling. The foot is flexed, the toes are spread. Try and get a nice long neck. Can get a little bit of a crink in there as you start to press the leg up towards the sky. Imagine you're trying to lift the ceiling, holding it up. So the hamstring should be pressing into the hands. So the leg is away from the body. And that means that we can then lengthen the sitting bones a little bit towards the front end of the mat as well. You feel the spine get longer. And we'll release that foot to the floor. And we'll just swap it over to the second side. So hands around the back of the thigh again. Let yourself get a nice long neck. Press the heels slowly towards the sky. Give the body a chance to lengthen the leg out. Foot is flexed, toes spread. And lengthen the sitting bones evenly towards the front of the mat. And we'll take a last breath. And bring the feet back down to the floor. Shake out the legs again a little bit. And then we're going to take a figure four. So I'll take the right leg to the sky, turn the toes out, bend the knee. So that ankle is to the outside of the thigh, the foot stays flexed. The right knee travels towards the front of the mat, sitting bones move in that direction as well. And then I'll lift up onto the tippy toe of the left foot. Draw the knee in towards the chest, just using the leg muscles. So there's a little bit of resistance between the right and the left leg going on. And right hand comes through the center. And you're either going to be able to take hold of the shin or the back of the thigh and see if you can flex both feet. And consciously move the sitting bones to the front of the mat again. So getting that spine nice and long. And then we can release. And we'll just shift that into the second side. So straighten the legs out. When you're ready, left leg lifts, toes turn out, knee bends. Flex the foot. A couple of breaths, just letting that left knee travel towards the front of the mat. And then up onto the tippy toes on the right foot. Draw the right knee in. Bring it as far as you can. And then bring the hands through. Flex both feet. Sitting bones away. And we can release from there. Shake out the legs the last time. And I'm going to roll onto our sides. Just lift ourselves up. Swing the feet towards the back of the mat. And come right down onto our bellies for some low cobra. So we're going to take the feet about hip distance apart. Bootlaces are down, heels roll out a little bit, toes roll in. Hands come underneath the shoulders, elbows into the body. Inhale, lengthen the legs and the thighs away. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale down. Two more. Little squeeze of the shoulders. At the top. Last one. And down. Bring hands to the bottom of the ribs. Keep those elbows tucked in. Press into the floor. So we come back up onto all fours. Bring the hands right up to the front of the mat. Crawl in a little bit. Tuck the toes underneath. Lift the knees away from the floor into our down dog. Get a pedal. That's an option, not a command. If you like standing still in your down dog, that's fine. We'll float forwards into a plank and just let the knees down to the floor as we sit back onto the heels and roll those wrists around a little bit so that we interlace the fingers, just get a little bit more juice. And then we'll bring the hands back down to the floor, move back into our down dog. And as we arrive, we'll take the right leg to the sky. So a scissor. We'll move into a plank, keeping the leg high, and then moving back into the down dog. Draw the right knee in towards the chest, move it into a plank, move it back to down dog, extend the right leg high, come into the plank, right leg lifts, back into down dog, right knee into the chest, into plank, to down dog, extend the leg high, scissor, into a plank, back into down dog, right knee into the chest, plank, back into down dog. I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. So left leg lifts, into plank, back into dog, knee to chest, foot is flexed, spine rounds a little bit as we move into the plank, back into the dog, extend out. into plank, to dog, and into the chest, come forwards into plank, down dog, scissor, to plank, to dog, into the chest last time, through into plank, down dog, foot to the floor. Let the hands walk to the toes into a forward fold. And then bring the hands onto the shins. Let yourself lift up. Halfway, fold down. Hands onto the shins to lift halfway up. Fold it down. One more time. With the hands on the floor, take the feet as wide as the mat. Let the toes turned out. Sit down into a squat. Let the head roll down. Just a gorilla roll back up. So letting the legs open out. We'll take the hands to the side, inhale high. In through the heart. Now the forward fold's going to feel odd because the feet are turned out. But allow yourself to bring the hands to the floor and then soften the knees straight away. Sit down into the squat. Head and body roll through. Gorilla roll back out. We'll take one more of these. And soften the knees. Roll it out. We'll take the hands high this time, zigzag the toes back in to a touch. And as the hands come in towards the heart, soften into chair pose. We'll take the hands high above the shoulders, palms face in, so the toes get a little light. Now we're going to stay in position, bring the hands back in towards the heart. Going to shift the weight into the right leg. Left knee rolls over, wraps round. So foot round calf if possible. Take the hands out wide, you're coming into eagle pose. So left arm across, right arm over the top, palms together. And release. Bring yourself back into the chair. Hands into the heart, shift the weight into the left. Right knee lifts, folds over, wraps round. As best you can, just squeeze the thighs together. Let yourself take the hands out wide. Right arm across. Left arm over. Palms together. And release. Back into chair, hands into the heart. We're going to hinge out towards the front of the mat, folding down. And then walk the fingers towards the front of the mat. We'll come up onto tiptoes and let the toes walk into the front of the mat as well. So a very long way to get to the front of the mat. And finally bring the feet about hip distance apart. Hands on the hips, soft knees to lift up. So hands towards the sky, above the shoulders. I'm going to press the feet down and the hips back and let yourself arch your spine up and over towards the back of the mat. So try to press the hips back as well. It'll stop you overextending and it stops you dumping into your lower back. And you get plenty of lift up into that back bend. Try and breathe in a little more into the ribs and keep the belly drawn. Now bring the hands back in towards the heart. Exhale over the hips, down to the floor, into that forward fold. And take a little breath from here. Then step the right foot to the back of the mat. Big step into lunge. Bring the hands to the floor. We'll step back into down dog. Come forwards into plank. Now we're going to take half plank. You can bring the knees to the floor if you need to or wish to, especially on the first round, so kind of being gentle to the shoulders. Turn the toes under, lift up if you're joining me on the higher version. Moving back into down dog. We'll come into plank, drop the knees to the floor. Back onto the heels, the toes are going to stay tucked under. Here comes the ground. And we're going to press down into the hands. Let the knees lift away from the floor as we come back into the down dog position, drawing the right knee into the chest, the foot through to the front of the mat into the lunge. Press out through that back heel. And then just pushing off the toes into the forward fold. Bring the hands onto the hips, we'll lift up. We'll take that one more time. Inhale up high. Hands through the heart. Slow and load to the floor. The left foot back into the lunge. A nice big stretch up on the fingertips. The chest lift, easy to breathe. Bring the hands to the floor, step back into our down dog. Forwards into our plank. Travel forwards into our half plank. Again, knees to the floor is always an option. Inhale up. Lift the hips high, back into down dog. Come into the plank. Soften the knees to the ground. Toes stay tucked under, remember. We step back onto the heels. Let the head come to the ground. Should be feeling this a little bit in the shoulders. You are able to kind of flare the armpits out to the side in this pose a little bit. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Some more breath. And the next exhale, we're going to lift the knees away from the floor, press the hands into the ground, lift back to our down dog. Draw the left knee into the chest for the lunge. And then press off the toes. Hands onto the hips and we lift up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale slow and low to the floor. Right foot to the back of the mat into our lunge. Now we're going to find our balance so that we can take our fingertips off the floor. So I'm going to check your front knee is over your ankle, not forwards. Lift the body just off the thigh fraction. Bring the hands alongside the body, palms face up. You can squeeze the shoulder blades together. Going to extend the arms out in front to follow the line of the lunge. Then lift the body slowly. Once you found some steadiness, you can take a breath and let the back knee drop down to almost touching the floor. Going to lift it back up slowly. Drop it back down. Lift it again. We're going to take another one of those. Keep the belly drawn in. Lifting up. You can extend the body forwards and the arms out again. Then bring the hands to the floor, back into the lunge, and step back into down dog. Come forwards into plank. Take the half plank. Float into up dog. Into down dog. And we'll bring that right knee to the chest, into the lunge. Take a little breath. Press forwards. Hands on the hips. Simple lift. And we do it the second side. Inhale up. Hands through the heart. Exhale down. Left foot back into the lunge. Test your balance. Just take the fingertips off, jiggle the foot around, back foot, front foot, whatever you need to find some balance. Lift the body just a little off the thighs, hands alongside the torso. Squeeze the shoulders together. And float the hands forwards. Big breath in. Exhale to lift it up. Breath at the top, find your balance. When you're ready, exhale down. Just a little dip. A lift up. A little dip. And up. Last one. And extend the body forwards again. Take the arms out, carry them forwards. Strong back leg. Hands into the lunge. Step it back into delt. Come forwards into the plank. To the half plank. Take the up dog. To the down dog. A few breaths. Left knee into the chest. Bring it through on the exhale. Take a breath into your lunge on the exhale. Hands on the hips and we lift up. So one more variation on that thing. Hands to the sky. Exhale down. Right leg to the back of the mat into the lunge. Drop the heel in. So we're looking for, trying to say checking and looking at the same time. Mix that up. We're looking for heel to heel alignment. Bring the hands alongside the hips again. Lift the body up and open up into our warrior two. I'm just going to hold this for a few breaths. Chance to feel both feet pressing down into the floor. Lengthening out through the fingers, the back of the shoulders soften a little. We'll float the arms high. We'll rotate the body towards the front of the mat. Lengthen out. Bring the hands down. Stepping back into the plank and the down dog. Reaching. So we come forwards into the plank. Push forwards on the tiptoes. Take up dog. Down dog. Again, just a few solid breaths. Check the fingers are nicely pressing down into the floor. Heels traveling towards the back of the mat. Right knee into the chest. Bring it through. Step it from the lunge to the forward fold. Exhale. Hands onto the hips and lift up. Last side, inhale high. Exhale down and through. Left leg back. Look for that heel to heel. For alignment, bring hands alongside the body as you lift. Calf will open. Just checking the front knee stays over the ankle. Both feet engaged. Both legs working. You should be able to feel both buttocks lifting up, not just the front one. And we'll float the hands high. Rotate and extend out. From that lunge, step it back into the dog. Float into the plank on the breath in. Push forwards on the tiptoes. Up dog. Find the down dog. Again, just a few breaths to settle. We'll draw that left knee in for the final time. Pass it through into the lunge. Take a little breath. Step it forwards. Bring the hands onto the heart. Hips rather. Inhale up. Bring the hands through the heart. Now we'll take another lunge, but this time we're going to take those down dogs and planks and up dogs out. So the right foot goes back. We drop the heel in again. Bring the hands alongside the body and lift up into our warrior two. Now from here, we're going to drop the front hip. So this back hip lifts up a little bit and we extend out. Forearm comes onto the front thigh. We take that top right hand up. Turn the palm forwards and lengthen out. Now we'll come back into warrior two. Turn the palm on the front hand for reverse warrior. Now you can either take the back hand down onto the thigh and stretch the top hand up towards the sky. If you'd like to wrap the hand round and then take the hand over towards the back of the mat, it's your choice. And we'll come back into warrior two. We're going to straighten the front leg, drop into the front hip and lengthen out for triangle pose. And bring the hand down. Now this time, top hand can go high, or again, it can wrap around so the fingers find that front thigh. It's a little easier to turn the chest open to the side in that version. Both feet are working, press down into the floor evenly. It's the big toe that gives you balance on the front foot. I'm going to unwrap the rear hand, take it to the sky, soften the front knee. Bring both hands onto the inside of the front thigh. Walk the fingers around to the long side of the mat and turn the toes in. Now this can be staying nice and high for the moment and trying to get a little bit of space between that front hip bone and the thighs. So I'm trying to draw the chest forwards and the tailbone back. I'm playing with the weight through the feet a little bit. And then when you're ready, you're going to hinge over the thighs and let the body sink through the center down towards the ground. I'll press into the hands to lift back up. I'm going to come halfway and then I'm going to turn the heels in. I'm going to zig and zag a little bit from side to side so that I can allow my bottom to sink down a little bit. So the feet are starting to move in just a touch towards the center line of my body. And then when it feels appropriate, we come up onto the fingertips, bring the hands onto the thighs, let the body start to lift up. I'm going to tuck the pubic bone forwards, the tailbone goes down, and the spine gently lifts. Not too much weight on the hands, the shoulders are nice and relaxed, the legs that are doing the lifting, or in my case, doing the shaking. Now to exit out, we'll just bring the hands in front of the groins and then float them out to the side, let the legs straighten out slowly. Bring the hands up towards the sky, and as they come in towards the heart, we can zigzag the toes back in. Oof. Turn towards the front of the mat. Shake out the legs, we've got the whole other side to do. So when you're ready, take the hands out nice and wide. Inhale up. You could do that by just standing at the other end of the mat if your laptop, whatever you're using, is to the side. And take the left foot back, drop the heel in, bring the hands alongside, lift up into our warrior two. And then we drop into that front hip and extend out. Take the extended side angle again. You can wrap that arm around, find the front thigh if that feels good. And come back up into warrior two. Turn the palm, take that reverse warrior again. And back into warrior two. And straighten the front leg, sink into that front hip a little bit. We extend out the triangle pose again. Again, that wrapping around. More than okay for the hand to be up towards the sky. And we'll soften the front knee as the top hand lifts. Bring both hands onto the inside. Walk the fingers around. Wrong side of the mat, we turn the toes in. Bring on the fingertips to start with. A little play. Get that length in the body. And then see if we can fold over again. Now, when you actually come into this pose, be conscious of where your shoulders are. If they've wrapped around your ears a little bit, it can make it feel a bit claustrophobic and difficult to breathe. Impedes blood flow into the head a little bit. So just making an effort to broaden out across the shoulders can help. We'll come back up onto the fingertips. And again, we walk the heels in. There's some zigging and zagging, just to walk those heels in a little bit to find that comfortable place so we can get the bottom down low. And when you're ready, come up onto the fingertips, draw the belly in a little bit. Hands come onto the thighs, we lift up, pelvis draws forwards. And then bring the hands in front of the groin as they float out to the side. We open the legs up. Hands come above the head and into the heart and zigzagging back in. And then taking a step into the front of the mat. Just shaking out the legs a little bit as we bring the feet to the front of the mat. Hands up to the sky on the breath in. We'll come down to the floor and move on to all fours. So making a point of keeping the hands right underneath the shoulders. I'm going to come into a Superman pose. So I'm going to take the right foot, toes tuck under, slide that leg out, draw the belly in, lift the foot off the floor to the height of the hip, being careful that we don't dump into the lower back. So you want to kind of lift the lower part of your belly in towards the spine a little bit. So you just get a little flatter here. Take the left hand out in front, palm facing into the center line. Spread the fingers and toes. Try and keep the legs as long as you can. Arm as straight as possible. And then we'll bring everything back down to the floor. Just take it over to the second side. So just tuck the toes of that left foot underneath, slide the leg back. Be careful not to lean too much into the hip and press the shin down on the right leg a little bit. Allow yourself to lift the foot away from the ground. Remember to just draw the belly in a little bit, flatten out the lower back. Then when you're ready, right hand comes out. And bring everything back to the floor. Take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Draw the chest forwards gently. Tuck the tailbone under. Let it round out. Hopefully it feels nice and good. Forwards. Exhale. We'll take another 3. Back into neutral. We'll take a thread the needle, taking the right hand out to the side, lifting up, and then folding that under, shoulder and ear to the floor. Just rolling that left shoulder towards the sky, pressing into the left hand. Elbow points up to the sky. One more breath. And on the exhale, press into the floor to lift. We'll take our hand out to the left and lift it up. Fold it under and through. Maybe a little bit of creaking going on. Again, just trying to press lightly into that front hand in front of the face. Drawing the shoulder away from the ear a little. Giving yourself space to breathe. Another breath on the exhale, press into the floor to lift up. And we'll just swing the feet out to the side and take the legs out in front. So coming into Dandasana, but I'm going to use my block. Just sit up nice and tall. So fingers a little bit behind the hip bones. Legs on the center line, they're rotating in. So we want to bring the heels and the toes together and flex the feet. Now we're released from there. I'm going to come into a seated twist. So we're going to take the left foot underneath and out, cross the right over, get both sitting bones back into the ground if they're lifted. Lift the spine up, left arm up towards the sky. Going to rotate towards the right, and then just let the hands come down. So the front hand and the arm kind of counter lever against each other. The rear hand is just in line with the hip. Much easier and softer on the shoulder. Then you can rotate and press the pelvis forwards a little bit. So you take any roundness out of the lower back that way. Very dry lips today. from there. Take the legs back out. And we'll take it over to the second side. So just taking your time to come into these poses. There's no rush. Let the body settle a little bit, so it might take a little longer fractionally than mine does. Or less. You take the right hand up, rotate the body round, bring the hands into play. Under the pelvis to lift. And then we can release from that as well. We'll take Janu Shishasana, our last seated pose. So feet out again, just wriggle out those sitting bones. And then we'll bring that right heel into the groin. Knee down to the floor, block underneath it doesn't reach. Little bend into the knee, reflex the foot, bring hands onto the shin, lift up. And we're just going to drape ourselves over and let ourselves sink. And if you feel like taking the hands around the foot, that's great. Keep a little bend in the knee, doesn't need to lengthen out. You can actually press the heel down into the floor and flex the foot so you can activate the whole of the leg and the hamstrings, etc. quite easily. The toes pointing up towards the sky rather than out to the side. Again, that little bit of internal rotation can make a difference to how it feels. I'm not saying it makes it easier, just makes it feel different. Last breath in. And we're going to use the hands to press back out on the exhale. And we'll take the final side. And when you're ready, allow yourself to fold over and relax. Let the head drop if that feels comfortable. Get to realize how cold my toes are in this pose. Last breath. Use the hands to press into the floor to lift up. And then we're down into Shavasana. So just taking the legs out. If you've got any extra layers that you want to put on, it's a good time. I'm going to use the block, could be a cushion, so behind the back of the head. And then we're going to always use the hands to help ease down. So look after the spine and the neck and that last little move. Wiggle the shoulders out, wiggle the hips out, lengthen the spine, get everything to feel really kind of nice and groovy. And then taking the feet out to the corner edges of the mat. Let the legs open to the sides, palms facing up so I can open the front of the chest out. Take a little movement into the jaw, licking the lips as well. And then concentrating on releasing down and letting go. Just noticing, scanning around your body. Find if there's anywhere that you can let go a little deeper. Or maybe where you're completely subconsciously holding on, you haven't even become aware of it. Now is the opportunity to discover those places. See if it's a pattern. And slowly start to stretch the fingers and toes. Let the wrists of the ankles take some movement. Use that exhale for a big stretch. And slowly draw the heels in. You can consider we want to draw the knees in towards the chest. So find a little circle of the hips. Or whether we want to give ourselves a bit of a hug. And when you're ready, we're going to roll on to our right side. Just stay there for a few breaths, nice and tucked into a little ball. And we'll gently use the hands to press into the floor to lift back up. Scoot ourselves around into a easy sitting posture. Lengthen the spine as we bring the hands in towards the heart. Take a deeper breath. And as we begin to exhale, let the chin drop. Let the belly draw in so we can bow gently to the floor, sealing our practice for the morning. And then on the inhale, the body will lift with the breath. The head lifts, eyes open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a wonderful day.